Few historical figures are as intriguing as the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. These rulers, seen as gods in human form, held the reins of a civilization that has left an indelible mark on the world. Join Factsverse as we take a look at what life was like as an Egyptian pharaoh. The divine status of pharaohs. In ancient Egypt, the pharaohs were not just rulers, but were regarded as gods who walked among the people. This divine status was not a metaphorical embellishment, but a fundamental belief that shaped the very core of Egyptian society and governance. The pharaohs were considered incarnations of Horus, the falcon-headed god of the sky, kingship, and war. This divine lineage traced its roots back to the myth of Osiris, the god of the underworld, and Isis, the goddess of magic and healing. Their son, Horus, was believed to be the first pharaoh, establishing a celestial connection that every subsequent pharaoh inherited. This divine status placed the pharaohs at the apex of both the spiritual and temporal realms. They were the earthly embodiment of divine power, the conduit through which the gods communicated their will. As such, the pharaoh's word was absolute, their decisions unchallenged, their authority unquestioned. But being a god on earth was not just about wielding supreme power, it was also about responsibility. The pharaohs were the custodians of Ma'at, the ancient Egyptian concept of truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. They were tasked with maintaining the balance between chaos and order, ensuring the prosperity of their kingdom, and appeasing the gods to prevent calamities. The pharaohs also played a crucial role in religious rituals and ceremonies. They made offerings to the gods, commissioned the construction of temples, and led important religious festivals. Their divine status was further emphasized through these rituals, reinforcing their connection to the gods and their role as spiritual leaders. In death, the pharaohs were believed to merge with the sun god Ra and journeyed through the underworld to achieve eternal life. This belief led to the construction of grand tombs and the practice of mummification to preserve their bodies for the afterlife. A day in the life of a pharaoh. The daily life of an Egyptian pharaoh was a meticulously orchestrated blend of rituals, governance, leisure, and personal time. Despite their divine status, pharaohs adhered to a routine that, while grander, was not entirely dissimilar to the lives of their subjects. A pharaoh's day would typically begin at dawn. They would be awakened by their servants and assisted in their morning ablutions. Personal grooming was of utmost importance, reflecting their status and divine connection. They would be bathed, shaved, and anointed with oils and perfumes. Their attire, usually a pleated kilt known as a shendet, was chosen with care, and they would be adorned with elaborate jewelry, a false beard, and the iconic double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. Breakfast followed, often a simple meal of bread, fruit, and beer. The pharaoh would then proceed to the audience chamber for the morning court. Here they would receive officials, hear reports, make decisions, and issue orders. This was the administrative part of their day. After morning court, the pharaoh would often inspect ongoing construction projects, visit temples, or lead religious rituals. Lunch would be a communal affair with the royal family, followed by a period of leisure. The pharaoh might engage in recreational activities like hunting, boating, or playing the game of senet. This was also a time for personal interactions, discussions with advisors, and planning for future projects. As the day wound down, the pharaoh would partake in an evening meal, often a grand affair with a variety of dishes, including meat, vegetables, fruit, and wine. The evening was also a time for entertainment, with music, dance, and storytelling. Before retiring for the night, the pharaoh would often spend time in private contemplation or discussion with their great royal wife. Despite their divine status and immense responsibilities, they valued these quiet moments of reflection and connection. The pharaoh's family. The family of a pharaoh in ancient Egypt was a complex and fascinating entity, a microcosm of power, politics, and divine lineage. The pharaoh's family was not just a unit of personal relationships, but a crucial component of the royal hierarchy, with each member playing a specific role in the grand scheme of governance and succession. At the heart of the family were his wives. A pharaoh typically had one or two great royal wives, who were often of royal blood themselves, sometimes even the pharaoh's own sisters or daughters. This practice of royal incest, though shocking by modern standards, was a strategic move to preserve the divine bloodline and prevent the dilution of royal power. The pharaoh also had several secondary wives and concubines. These relationships often resulted in numerous children, further strengthening the pharaoh's lineage. The sons and daughters of the great royal wives were usually considered the official heirs, although favorites among the lesser wives could also be recognized. The pharaoh's family life was a blend of formalities and intimate moments. A midday meal with his wives and children was common, providing an opportunity for bonding. As the sons grew older, they would accompany the pharaoh on his official rounds, learning the ropes of rulership. Evenings were often reserved for meals with the pharaoh, his wives, and sometimes honored guests. One of the most intriguing aspects of the pharaoh's family was the role of women. Particularly, the great royal wives wielded significant influence and power. They were often involved in state affairs, religious rituals, and diplomatic relations. In some exceptional cases, women even ascended to the throne as pharaohs themselves, as in the case of Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs in ancient Egyptian history. Power and responsibilities. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt wielded an unparalleled level of power, their authority extending over every aspect of their kingdom. Yet with this power came a multitude of responsibilities. As a supreme leader, the pharaoh held absolute power over the land and its people. All of Egypt's land was considered the pharaoh's personal property. They were the ultimate lawgiver, their word carrying the weight of law, and their edicts shaping the course of the kingdom. The pharaoh was also the commander-in-chief of the army. They'd lead their forces into battle, their victories expanding the kingdom's borders and bringing wealth and prosperity. In addition to political and military roles, the pharaohs were also the chief administrators. They oversaw the collection of taxes, the distribution of resources, and the execution of public works. They appointed officials to manage various aspects of governance, their choices influencing the functioning of the kingdom. The role of slaves. Slavery in ancient Egypt was a complex institution, markedly different from the brutal systems of forced labor seen in other ancient civilizations. Slaves played a variety of roles in the life of a pharaoh and in the broader Egyptian society. Their status and conditions often surprising to modern sensibilities. Slaves were an integral part of the daily routine of a pharaoh. They performed a variety of tasks, from personal grooming to preparing meals, cleaning, and maintaining the royal estates. They were often seen as part of the royal household, their lives closely intertwined with those of their masters. Slaves were not the primary labor force used in monumental construction projects like the pyramids. Those were built by highly skilled workers who devoted their lives to this activity. Slaves, usually prisoners of war, were integrated into such teams and were likely treated similarly to other workers. Slaves also worked in various capacity in the broader Egyptian society, working in fields, quarries, and workshops as well as private homes. They were not a homogeneous group. Their roles varied widely and their conditions were not uniformly harsh. And slaves in ancient Egypt had certain rights and could achieve a level of social mobility unusual for enslaved people. Over time, many slaves assimilated into the local population, blurring the lines between slaves and free citizens. Now it's time to hear from you. What was most surprising to hear about? Let us know in the comments section below.